How many of you can remember what your average day was like before you carried a smartphone around? I don't think it's controversial to point out that digital technology is changing the way we live. Psychologists have pointed it out, sociologists have pointed it out, writers. So we should expect every new technology to change patterns of behavior, to change human relationships, to change how we experience the world. What does the Catholic intellectual tradition have to bring to this problem? I've mentioned political scientists, sociologists, psychologists, writers, neurologists are studying this, right? What is it that philosophy and theology can bring to the table? Well, they can remind us that both in terms of religious faith, but also in terms of the classical philosophical conception of the soul, what's at stake is our souls. Temperance, courage, just getting your passions and desires under control, making sure that you have a kind of basic discipline and order in your life, getting enough to eat but not too much, getting enough sleep, taking some responsibility for discerning what in your life needs to be brought into order. There are lots of technologies that we criticize because they, in and of themselves, incline us to do something wrong, right? So there's criticism of the atom bomb, criticism of contraception. We could think of all other sorts of things. And I could talk, for instance, about particular things that I think are harmful about cell phone use. I'm sure that pornography use is up in the last 10 years, just thanks to digital technology. But the main thing that I want to point to is not the evil things that this technology leads us to do. If that were the problem, it would be an easy solution, right? We could remind ourselves, okay, what are good actions? What are healthy, moral, virtuous actions? What are the evil, sinful actions? And let's just remind ourselves of the rules and try to do what's right. The insidiousness of digital technology is that it starts to hide from us that distinction between good action and bad action, because it hides from us the sense in which we're responsible for our actions at all. The experience of many of us using digital technology is that it's sort of drawing us into something, and we lose a sense of our agency, right? If you stop the parent walking into the daycare and ask, do you think you should put your cell phone away and look at your child when you pick him up, the parent will know the answer to that, right? But the parent never stops and thinks of the question because we're pouring our attention into the thing. So as long as we can keep asking ourselves the question, right? And the technology is not designed to ask that question. The technology is actually designed to hide that question from us. But as long as we ask ourselves the question, what should we be giving our attention to? How much should I use this, and for what? What would it be to integrate this technology into my life in a healthy way as opposed to an unhealthy way? As long as we keep asking that question, then there's plenty of hope that we'll survive this dramatic social change, just as we survived the invention of writing or the invention of the printed book or the invention of television.